And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Ian Safar, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. I'm out here today at First Horizon Park. And let me tell you, I'm out on the Brower deck right now. There's not a whole lot of views in the entire city of Nashville that are better than this one. It is opening day for the Nashville Sounds. Well, at least home opening day for the Nashville Sounds. They're taking on Charlotte at 6:35 tonight at First Horizon Park. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. But it is baseball time once again in Nashville. The weather is beautiful this morning. The birds are chirping above me. It's baseball weather. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are we doing?
I'm doing fine, but that's much cooler than a hotel in East Lansing. So happy opening day, Sounds fans and Sounds.
I hear East Lansing's a fine town this time of year.
It was like 75 and sunny yesterday in East Lansing.
That's good.
So believe me, around here, it's rejoicing in the streets.
I would imagine so. Ian Safar, how are we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing just fine, thanks. Yes, you can hear the birds behind you, Robert. It is setting the scene nicely. You know, beautiful day for baseball, beautiful weather for baseball. Hopefully this week holds up and the rain holds off for everybody up there, and beautiful week to get things going. So happy Tuesday, folks.
I think the birds add a nice little ambiance to our radio program. You know, even nature loves listening to Robby and Rexrode. That's kind of what I'm taking away from this, Joe.
I really like it. It's a peaceful feeling. It's like eating at Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we got a lot going on the program today. Adam Vingan will be with us at 7:30. Mike Herndon from paulkuharski.com with us at 8 o'clock. And my buddy Chris Jones from the Nashville Sounds dropping by at 8:30. We'll get into everything going on, not only tonight, but throughout the year for the Nashville Sounds. So looking forward to that. And a lot of stuff going on from the NFL owners meetings yesterday. We'll get into that throughout the show as well. So take your thoughts in the meantime. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Well, Joe, speaking of the NFL meetings that are taking place at the moment, I saw, Kuharski wandering around there yesterday. He was catching up with Kyle Shanahan, caught up with Matt LaFleur, which invoked a separate text message from me to him on the Matt LaFleur front. But good to know that he was within, 2 feet of Matt LaFleur yesterday. Hopefully he didn't catch anything of, being a loser now. So there is that. Matt LaFleur did have some nice things to say about Robert Saleh, so that's nice. Mike Borgonzi speaking yesterday at the NFL meetings. I've said this before, Joe. Mike Borgonzi, I think, has mastered the art of saying a lot of words but not really saying anything at the general manager spot, which is a skill that has to be learned, and I think he's learned it very well. One thing he did say, and I think this is good to clarify on the Cam Ward front, he has picked up some of the throwing progression starting last week, said that they're going to take it week by week, but that Cam Ward is on track with his shoulder injury. So good news on that front. No setbacks on the shoulder part of this from Cam Ward. So that part was good to see. Joe, he was asked about Jeremiah Love and the 30 visit that took place and talked about, how well that went. But also at the end of it, Joe said, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Khalil Mullings, quote, I feel good about our running backs. So what does it all mean, Joe Rexrode? Do you take anything away from Mike Borgonzi feeling good about the Titans' current group of running backs yesterday?
Well, he also said that they're going to take the best player, and he dismissed positional value.
He did.
So, I mean, that which is a great way to, have no clue what they're going to do. It's actually pretty masterful of him. Because you certainly could listen to that and be like, okay, best player available, forget positional value. Some people would think that would be Jeremiah Love. And then, like you said. But I almost feel like the running back thing was kind of like, oh, I should say this. You know what I mean? Oh, and by the way, I should say this to not insult our guys. what if their plan is to draft Jeremiah Love, but it gets blown up somehow? I mean, I don't know. Is it possible someone comes up to 3 and takes him or something? I mean, so you got to still say nice things about the people who actually still work for you right now. Maybe that's it.
Maybe so. I mean, look, the best player available stuff. It was beyond just that. I thought like the detail you went into with it was pretty fascinating, which kind of lines up to what you've said, Joe, which is, quote, where we're at right now. We want to take the best player available. It depends on your roster construction too, but with where we're at, we're taking the best player available. We're taking the best football player, which basically is him saying, if we're in a different spot and it was totally need driven, sometimes you run into that when you're one of these teams that's right on the doorstep of competing. And he went basically what you've been preaching the whole time, which is, hey, when you're a 3-win football team 2 consecutive years, obviously you got a lot of holes with your roster. So at that point, just take the guy who you think is going to be the best football player in the NFL, and you can figure all that other stuff out later.
Which, by the way, could mean that they're totally all in on Sonny Styles.
Could be.
I mean, we don't know who that player is, but yeah, to me at least, it's like, and I think that's good. I mean, I think that's the right approach. And so even though I would still think that it's possible that like a David Bailey could be the best player available and also be an obvious need, I mean, it certainly opens them up to the possibility of, someone that's maybe not as obvious. And I mean, hey, maybe it even opens them up to an offensive tackle, and we can only hope.
Yeah, can't wait for that. If that goes down that way. But I mean, technically, it could be their best player available. Although the evaluations seem to suggest otherwise. But I still, I went through a mock draft exercise last night, Joe, which we're going to get to here in a second. We're going to see if people want me to be the next general manager of the Titans, or if they want me fired even from the radio job, and we'll see how that goes here in just a few minutes. But I still think the total wild card before the Titans is, what is Arizona going to do? Because Arizona could go a lot of different ways. And it's funny for me to say that, knowing that the New York freaking Jets are picking at number 2, and we're talking about wild cards, and Lord knows what they're ever going to do. But like, Arizona is very intriguing to me right before the Titans, because I just, I've seen David Bailey mock there. I've seen Arvell Reese mock there. I've seen one of the tackles mock there. I've seen, somebody went off the wall and I think put Ty Simpson there this last week. Like, I have no idea what Arizona's going to do.
Yeah, and that makes it fun, I mean, it makes it more interesting that we have a team that's not totally obvious. I mean, I think really, like, the only 100% is the Raiders, right? I mean, that's the only thing that's 100%.
Which, by the way, Charles Robinson said on our show last week that that's happening. So,
yeah, and I mean, I guess what the most popular belief is that Reese goes next, right?
Yes,
but I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen anything that is like rock solid reporting on that. I mean, that we could get surprises right away at that point, and the Titans may have to pivot from what they want to do. We just don't know, and that makes it more interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you're the Titans, I still think the dream scenario is David Bailey available at 4, Jeremiah Love available at 4, and you feel pretty good about walking away with a really good football player at that point. I guess I should throw Sonny Styles in there too, even though I do think that would be the less popular of the picks when it comes to the 4th overall pick if the Titans went that way. But you got to throw him in the mix on that front as well. Everybody keeps talking about the Ty Simpson part of this. Like, I think he might be in the first round now. It's like, hasn't he always kind of been mocked to go in the first round? Like, I guess I don't really understand that discourse the last like week and a half. It's like, hey, Ty Simpson may be a first rounder now. It's like, I don't know that I've seen many mocks that ever had him out of the first round.
I've seen some. I mean, there's definitely some differing opinions. But yeah, it seems now like you'd be hard pressed to find one that doesn't have him at least around like to the Steelers 21, right? I mean, that's kind of like that almost feels like the floor for him.
Yeah.
But earlier in the process, I definitely saw some, that didn't have him. But yeah, it seems like an obvious thing. And that's the thing. Once you get in there, again, this is mock draft land. It's not the real world. But once it's not hard to imagine just someone being like, actually, yeah, like if we're going to go, if this is our guy, let's go get him, and Ty Simpson going a lot higher than anyone would have guessed when he declared.
We are off and running on Robby and Rexrode this morning. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025, our phone number. We have gone through, or at least I have gone through, a mock draft exercise. I've done 7 rounds, Joe. We're going to roll through the back part of that very quickly. We'll spend a lot of times on the first 3 or 4 picks. But I've done 7 rounds of a mock draft for the Tennessee Titans. And we'll figure out whether or not I'm a genius or whether I'm an idiot coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Live out at First Horizon Park today. It's opening day at home for the Nashville Sounds. The sun is starting to peek up over the buildings in front of me right now. It's a beautiful sight here at First Horizon Park. Taking your thoughts on the Titans. Joe, I have conducted a mock draft. I guess we'll call this Robby Stanley's mock draft 1.0 that took place yesterday. The calendar flips to April tomorrow. We will finally be in the month of the draft starting tomorrow, which is an exciting thing. And, Joe, I did 7 rounds of this thing. Now, look, I'm going to be honest with you right from the jump. I ain't going to spend a whole lot of time on the last few picks that I made because, frankly, I don't know a whole lot about Lander Barton, the linebacker out of Utah. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But starting at number 4, Joe, are you ready for this? At number 4, the scenario that I did not want to happen for the Titans was presented to me. The first 3 picks, Fernando Mendoza at number 1, Arvell Reese at number 2, David Bailey at number 3. So that means your 2 pass rushers that you feel, or at least I feel, really good about off the board for the Titans at number 4, which means, it comes down to Love and Sonny Styles. And, I guess you could go somewhere different than that at that point. But I took Jeremiah Love at number 4.
Mauigoa.
It feels like, we could go Mauigoa. Feels like the safest pick there. I feel really good about Jeremiah Love being a good player in the NFL. I love everything about him, no pun intended, when you watch the film and watch how he played in college. So Jeremiah Love, the pick at number 4. So no real surprises there, right? If that scenario plays out that way where Bailey and Reese are gone for the Titans at number 4, that would be what my expectation is, that the Titans go with Jeremiah Love at number 4. Then the question, Joe, becomes what do you do at 35, right? Because you still need help at wide receiver. You need help at edge rusher, obviously. And that's what was too hard for me to pass up at number 35. I went Zion Young, the edge rusher out of Missouri. Joe, your thoughts on Zion Young?
Yeah, no, I like that. I absolutely like that. I think he's a guy who some people think could sneak into the late part of the first round. Really good player at Missouri. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL. I think that of the 30 of the guys at 35 or around 35, I think he's my favorite. So I'm thumbs up right now.
So far, Joe has thumbs up to Robby Stanley's draft. Jeremiah Love at number 4, Zion Young at number 35. Joe, it gets all the way around to 66. And just for simplicity's sake, I didn't do any trades in this thing because I was offered several, but just went straight up in this thing. At 66, I was looking around and I'm thinking, man, we really need a wide receiver here. And there were several that were available that were tempting. But I saw this guy, and maybe this is just total local bias from me, but Joe, he was still on the board at 66. And I said, you know what? I think I got to do it. Eli Stowers, tight end from Vanderbilt, number 66 overall in the 3rd round for the Tennessee Titans. So Jeremiah Love, Zion Young, Eli Stowers, the first 3 picks in this Robby Stanley mock draft 1.0.
You know what? I don't hate it at all. Obviously, you think about, is it better to have a traditional, an outside wide receiver? Because, a guy like Stowers is going to be like kind of a detached, kind of like a big slot, kind of thing. Right? I think that's what a lot of people get him as. He's not going to be a guy who plays inline much of it all. He's like a tweener. But the bottom line is, can the guy get open? Can the guy make plays? And I think absolutely. I think it's a really intriguing addition to an NFL offense.
So after that, at the 101st overall pick, I went Drew Shelton, offensive tackle out of Penn State. Maybe add a little depth to the tackle spot there. At 142, went Malachi Fields, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. Like the size, that's kind of what was the deciding factor there. The size that he put together, 6'4", 205 pounds, a little bit more of a deep threat out there. So I like that on that front. So I didn't get a wide receiver, Joe, until 142nd overall, which I didn't love, but I couldn't pass up Stowers at number 66. Took Anthony Lucas at 144, edge rusher out of USC. It took Trey Zoon III at 184, which is a center out of Texas A&M. Now, he actually in college, Joe, he played tackle, guard, and center. So I like the positional versatility there on the offensive line. But the thought seems to be that at the NFL, center is going to be the position that he plays. And it was interesting yesterday, Borgonzi was talking about, guard and center, right guard and center, that they're still very much up in the air, obviously, on that front, that they're leaving all options on the table, and that you could see them address one or both of those spots coming up in the NFL draft. So, the good part about center is if you need one, you can probably find one in the 4th or 5th round just based on the position. So I went Trey Zune, the 3rd out of Texas A&M, basically because I like the versatility that he has in his college background there. I'm still worried to death about pairing a young center with Cam Ward if that's the route they go.
Yeah, I hear that, but if he's good enough, then they'll figure it out. I mean, I think it is important at both of those spots to try to get some depth and hopefully to just hit on someone, middle round who ends up being a really high value pick and can actually compete and be a long-term answer for you. So at tackle, at tackle and interior offensive line, I like to see them do what you did. So I kind of think that maybe they should look into hiring you.
Well, thank you. I rounded out with Lander Barton, linebacker from Utah, which I know nothing about, and Andre Fuller, cornerback from Toledo, which I'm sure you have many thoughts on, at number 225 for the final pick of the 7-round mock draft there. As somebody has pointed out on the text line, yes, that does mean that I passed on Chris Brazzell at number 35 overall. He was available. Brazzell was there. But I just looked at the situation, Joe, looked at pass rusher. I like Zion Young a lot, and that's the route I went at number 35. So I passed on local Vol, Chris Brazzell.
I think I would do the same thing. I like Brazzell, and I look, I'm mostly with him on people making too much of the scheme thing here. But I think that I feel better about Zion Young being a starting edge and a productive player at that position than I do about Brazzell, being worth the 35th pick. I mean, but I wouldn't be mad about Brazzell either, but I think I would make the same choice.
So my question for Titans fans is, if it plays out, let's just go first 3 picks before we get into the weeds of like the 5th rounders. But if it goes Jeremiah Love, Zion Young, Eli Stowers that way. And Stowers is interesting because I've seen him mocked at like 48. I've seen him mocked at like 55. I've seen him mocked somewhere in the 60s. I got him at 66 in this particular exercise. If it goes Jeremiah Love, Zion Young, Eli Stowers as your first 3 picks, you taking that if you're a Titans fan. How are we feeling about that?
Yeah, I think Titans fans should like that. Again, it's like, you address offense first of all with 2 of the 3 picks, and I understand fans who are like, okay, I get it, defense is good, there's a defensive coach, but like you've got to give Cam Ward weapons. Well, you just did. You gave him 2, I think, weapons who absolutely can be good players. I mean, Love's a good player. Like he's gonna. There's a pretty high floor with Love. It's just a matter of if you take a 4, that ceiling better. It's got to be elite. But he's going to be very good. And Stowers, I'm confident that Stowers makes plays in the NFL, makes a difference for a team, and I love him there. And if you can get him there, that's really strong. And again, that combination makes it even better for me that you took Young with that pick in between them. Because you address that. Like they still have to address that. And look, Femi Oladejo, he may work out, but you know what? If you have guys you can rotate who can play edge, that's not bad. It's not a bad thing at all. I mean, ultimately, if you end up with 2 young edges who can play in the next few years, that's a great thing, and it's a cheap thing, which makes it an even greater thing.
So what I'm hearing is I should be a candidate for an NFL general manager job and that I wouldn't be fired. That's what I'm hearing.
I mean, at least, they already have like 9 assistant GMs, don't they? What would be wrong with a 10th? Yeah. What would be wrong with the 10th? By the way, I just got to shout out Josh, who says Titans should trade Levis in a 2027 second to the Cardinals for the Cardinals first.
Okay.
He said, would y'all do that? I mean, dude, like,
yes, I would.
yeah. I don't think the Cardinals would.
Cardinals probably
the
wouldn't, but
Cardinals
I would.
laugh at you. But yeah, but I love that, like, Levis, like as if Levis is like this huge like trade piece right now.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm interested to see if that happens before the NFL draft. Liam says, coming to the dark side. Hashtag Vandy Robby. Vandy Joe,
Yeah,
Vandy Robby entering the mix here. Skyler says, I feel like the Titans draft a tight end every year, or at least every other year. It does feel like that a lot. We'll see what happens on that. But look, Stowers, look, I know we watched a lot of him up close, so maybe there is a little bit of personal bias there. But, I mean, the way that he played in college, the way he tested at the NFL Combine, the person that we know that he is, Joe, I feel pretty good about Eli Stowers being a good player in the NFL. Now, yeah, I'm not saying he's going to be, the next coming of Travis Kelce or anything like that, but I feel like he's going to be a pretty good starter in the NFL.
No, I do too. No, he's going to make plays. He's going to make plays in the NFL, and he's certainly a lot different than the recent tight ends they've taken. Don't have the playmaking upside that he has at all. Not at all. No, he's a mismatch guy, in the slot. And so it would be really interesting to see this offense, if you added him and what they're going to do with Wan'Dale Robinson and then him. I mean, it's a little bit unconventional. I guess some people could look at it and think it's redundant, but I mean, look, man, if you have playmakers, then you're going to find a spot for them on the field, and all of a sudden you can make plays, which is something that we just haven't seen much from Titans offenses of late.
So I did that mock draft exercise to set this up. We have gotten through free agency. It was a very busy free agency period for the Titans, as we know. What must the Titans walk away with in the draft? What are your non-negotiables for the Titans when it comes to the NFL draft now that free agency is done and they have filled some of the holes that they had heading into this offseason? We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe, a lot of thoughts about the birds around me right now. There's a lot of birds. Wes in Clarksville asking if I'm at the zoo. No, I am at First Horizon Park. It's opening day. We're setting the scene for baseball. Kelton says it's mating season for the birds on the text line. A lot of thoughts about the birds behind me right now. And I keep looking up. You know, there's not much flying going on here, Joe. And they're kind of nestled in this little, I guess, pole that's over here. But I am very concerned at some point that I'm going to get pooped right on top of the head, which Ian seems to be all for on the video stream, that we can get that captured.
Yeah, I'm glad that we've got you there. We could get a viral moment today. So I'm rooting for it. So the birds are getting after it for whatever reason. One reason or another, they're just getting after it today.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a heck of a spring
I don't
morning.
Hear them now, by the way. Like, I don't hear them.
Well, maybe they recognize what's going on. I don't know. A lot of
I think this is mating season.
Yeah. A lot of thoughts on the birds on the text line. Let's head to our phone line. Welcome in Jared in Spring Hill to the program. Jared, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning. I guess we got it better than the Masters does because we don't have to pump in artificial bird sounds to make it seem more ambiance. Yeah, I appreciate your service out there in the trenches, Robby.
Thank you.
But I'm going to hit on the draft and then the intangibles, or like you're drafting in the intangibles. I really like at least the philosophy around that, because my intangibles coming out of this draft, there needs to be a day one offensive contributor, because we have absolutely nobody who the defenses need to scheme around. So I feel if we follow your footprints here of taking Love and then Stowers in the third, you're starting to then creep up into, okay, you got some weapons. And I really like how you said that last week about limiting the excuses for Cam Ward. And some of the quotes that came out yesterday with, we're going to have a competition at center and guard spot, just screams Rand Carthon incompetence to me. Because if we are going to build around Cam Ward, and that is our number one priority, why haven't we addressed said things? And then why not just say Schlottman and the other dude we signed are our starters right now? Like, I just don't understand. So I'm really confused about the plan. I like your draft. I feel like it can definitely help Cam Ward and limit his excuses, but we just need some offensive talent and speed to go along with, this defense, this great defense that we got. So anyways, hang up and listen. Thanks for the service, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate the call. Yeah, the guard center thing, I feel like we're going to be talking about that until, first month of the season, Joe, until we see how it plays out. I mean, my guess is that they're going to draft at least one of a guard or center at some point in this draft. I don't know that I necessarily expect it to be, third-round pick or anything like that, although I guess it could. But I would be stunned if at some point here in this draft they don't draft, a guard or center that then enters into the mix here to compete for one of their starting jobs here, which, look, I mean, you can feel about that however you want to feel about it. I don't know. Right now I look at center specifically, and I'm like, all right, you got Schlottman in there, and he's at least played, so you've got somebody in there that's played. But how well has he played, right? Like, is he a starting level center in the National Football League? I'm with Jared from the standpoint I feel very uncomfortable about those two spots right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's not great at all. I don't have an issue with declaring that it's a competition, because, you just, when you have uncertainties, I think it's fine to let's be honest about it. And also you want guys to be in a competition mindset. But that's the thing. The fact that you could say that honestly is just a reflection of the fact that you just haven't necessarily addressed it well enough. Obviously you hope Schlottman, I think it's Schlottman, by the way, keep correcting people. Schlottman is good enough, but I mean, it's at this point, it's been, solid backup who's been able to fill in and do okay. I mean, that is not to me, addressing it well enough. And I think that that's a potentially a real problem. And I'm with you. I think that they're definitely going to draft someone. But again, where you're going to draft someone, I mean, there's plenty of quality interior linemen in the NFL who have been picked around the 4th round, because that's kind of, other than just absurdly gifted guys, that's where like a lot of them end up going. But it's still no guarantee you're going to get someone who can really make any kind of difference as a rookie.
So I threw the question out there. What are the non-negotiables as a Titans fan that you're walking into this draft with? You've gone through free agency. They were busy in free agency. They signed a lot of people. They've filled some of those holes, but there's still several holes remaining on the roster. What are your non-negotiables? Cam on the text line says non-negotiables, Titans pick an edge or a pass rusher and an offensive weapon within the first 3 rounds. So you're talking, get either the pass rusher or the wide receiver in 2 of the first 3 picks. Alex says, just get good players. That's my non-negotiable. No more reaching for role players in the draft. Joe, I throw the question to you. If you're a Titans fan and you've seen what they've done in free agency, it has freed them up to some degree when it comes to the draft in terms of filling some holes. I mean, they're not just totally barren at wide receiver right now. They did keep Calvin Ridley. They did bring in Wan'Dale Robinson. They have the 2 guys from last year that they drafted in the 4th round that we've talked about. What are your non-negotiables if you're a Titans fan heading into this draft that they absolutely, positively have to walk away with in your mind?
I mean, almost for the most part, I'm with Alex. It's just like, because, and really what he's saying is don't reach for role players. Don't reach saying we got to have this position. We got to have that position. That's how you reach for role players. So to me, my non-negotiable is best player available everywhere. The only thing I would say is like in the first 3 rounds, I think it's awfully difficult to see them not doing this. And I think they, an offensive weapon somewhere in the first 3 rounds. That would be really my only one is, somewhere pretty high. I think you have to think in terms of, okay, Cam Ward needs someone else to get the ball to, whether it's handing it to him, whether it's, throwing downfield, whether it's a Stowers kind of guy, whatever. But other than that, I don't, I'm not saying, oh, wow, the best player available happened to be an inside linebacker every time. Yay. Of course you're identifying need and you're factoring in need, but you could make a case. I'd like to see them get an edge, but if they, if they get like an incredible value at safety, and then, I think they're definitely going to do, like you said, they're definitely going to do something with the offensive line. I can't imagine they won't. Whatever it is, again, if there's another off-ball linebacker, it's just get the players that your evaluations say this is the best possible player at this position or at this spot in the draft, and we have him rated higher than anybody else. Okay, take him. I think for the most part, that's what you do.
Edge to me is non-negotiable. And I think they got to come away with one in the first 2 picks. I could live with, I guess, the first 3 picks. And the reason I say that, Joe, is because I think there are going to be so many guys there that fit that bill, right? I think if you went Love, they could go Jeremiah Love at 4, and they could take somebody like Brazel at 35. And then all of a sudden you're looking at the pool of edge rushers, and you're like, you got some guys maybe in the 3rd round that are okay, and maybe it plays out that way. And is it a disaster if it plays out that way? No, because you're getting your quarterback some weapons on that front. But to me, just with how important we know that position is and how at this point totally barren they are, other than hope Femi Oladejo turns into a really good player in his 2nd year and hope that Jermaine Johnson coming off the injury can return to form of what he was 2-3 years ago. That's too much hope for me when it comes to that spot. So I am very strong on the edge rusher part of this, which is why I'm hoping David Bailey is there at number 4. If he's not, you'd have to – this is just me. You'd have to think the receiver is way better, because I just think you're going to be able to find a couple of quality edge guys there at number 35. So that's what I would put it on my non-negotiable, which may not be the smartest thing to do, but it's on there for me.
Yeah, I understand that. And look, I'd like to see Bailey there. I'd like to see him take Bailey, and there you go. Because I agree that they absolutely. Because then, to me, then you've addressed it with the proper value.
Yes.
You know, and you've addressed it with someone who I think comes in, starts, and should, if the evaluations are correct, and if he does all the things he needs to do, and there's all these things we don't know, but you should have yourself a guy who is affecting quarterbacks and sacking quarterbacks right away. It's just that if that doesn't happen, I mean, I'd like to see it too. Like, I like your Zion Young pick. I think that's good. And we already talked about it. Like, Young versus Brazel at that spot, I would go Young. So I'd like to see it. I think we will see it. But yeah, like the only, like, I mean, Jermaine Johnson's going to be, I think he's going to be fine. He'll be solid. I mean, Femi is a huge, like you said, it's hope, but it's also like, man, like, this front office, like, it's a big, big deal for them that he works out. I mean, they're definitely going to be light at that spot if they don't. Now, this question you asked is the whole draft, right? I mean, it's not just the early stages.
Yeah, whole draft.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, to me, like, there's no way that they don't address it somewhere. But yeah, if you get past like the first 3 rounds, obviously you're just, you're trying to, add some depth and hope that you somehow hit on it. So, I mean, it's close for me to a non-negotiable, but to me, it's just like I think you have to give Cam Ward somebody else to get the football.
So what are your non-negotiables when it comes to the Titans and the NFL draft? We got a lot of your thoughts already. Keep them coming. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. Our football offseason coverage presented by Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of the football offseason coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's head to our phone line. Welcome in our buddy Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, man. I tell you, first of all, Joe, Robby, my first non-negotiable thing is being out here on 24 West every day, trying to get out of Nashville, man.
It's a tough one.
It
is a tough one.
Yeah. How you doing today, Joe? How was your trip in Chicago, Joe?
It was good. It was good. Chicago's good. East Lansing, Indy, the whole Midwest, all in a few days.
He's on tour.
Yeah. I heard you on the radio, Joe. You sound like you were talking like you were in the bathroom or something, man. It was real weird that day, man.
He survived, got free.
I needed to get a bird in there, a parakeet in there with me.
The amount of text messages, just quick aside, that I'm getting about these birds right now is just amazing. Keep them coming.
But yeah,
Birdman.
You know, y'all were talking about Jimmy Holiday. I don't know if that's gonna work, Robby. You're right. He's got to show some improvement. He's got to come through this year. You know, they're saying that the Titans may draft Love. I think it would be a big mistake. I mean, if you're gonna draft Love, that's one guy you need to get you over the top. Titans need picks, man. They need a lot of picks, and especially defensive end, wide receiver. I mean, they just need a lot of picks, and I think that would be a wasted pick if they took Love or whatnot. But Bailey's a good guy to take, though, Joe. I mean, at 4, I don't know if they'll do that, but you're right. They need that. They need that premier edge rusher to come in there and dominate a game and help that defense out. But hey, Joe, Robby, just wanted to throw that at y'all. Go UConn, Joe. Your Michigan State Spartans out of there, so I'm gonna ride with Hurley and the guys to win it all next Monday night in Indianapolis, man. So I don't know who you picking. Michigan and Arizona are going to beat up each other, and I think after that game, the emotions will be a little down, and UConn will sneak in there and get their 3rd title in the last 4 years. But hey, man, y'all have a good day, Robby. Good talking to y'all. Hey,
appreciate you, man.
Joe, stay out the bathroom, Joe. Come on now.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll see
Mark.
y'all, man.
I can't totally stay out of it.
I mean, Joe, I think your voice has sounded pretty milky smooth the whole time you've been on your little road tour here.
There are times though I get it. It sounds like I'm in like a little closet or something, you know, like all boxed up. But yeah, I'm trying. There's got a nice spacious room here, trying to let the air let things breathe. So it should be fine, hopefully.
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
No birds.
Yeah, no birds. How good do you feel? I mean, obviously they were busy in this area at corner. I would still argue like you could probably use another young corner at some point here. I wouldn't classify it necessarily as a need anymore, given how much money they just spent and how they addressed it in free agency. But at some point here, you're going to need, some more young corners to kind of fill out the bottom part of your room there too. So, probably not a position anymore that Titans fans are thinking that much about, which I understand. But you can, as we've learned watching the Titans over the last 5 or 6 years, you really can never have enough corners in the National Football League.
Oh, absolutely. I don't have an issue. I mean, you could make a case that like at any position, they can get better. So, and absolutely, you got to have a lot of good corners. In the last few years, it's a lot of times in the starting lineup, but certainly for their depth. I mean, it's just been, it's been guys, you signing guys off the street, signing guys off.
No idea who they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, no, I think, and look, I don't like that 2 young corners were moved out last year. I understand there's different reasons and different things going on, but that unfortunately that creates a little bit more of a need, there. So, and obviously they've addressed it to some extent, but no, I'm for it. Again, I'm for if you have another safety you think is really good and could long-term pair with Winston and they complement each other. Okay. I mean, no one's talking safety, certainly doesn't come top of mind. It's way down the list, but it's just the good teams, like they just, like there's especially like when you have so many needs, like to me, it's just like get good football players and then some of your weaknesses where like, oh, you needed to address that spot. Now it's not as much of a big deal because you have a difference maker here, and that takes pressure off that spot.
Well, and I do think on defense, a very interesting question heading into next year was Amani Hooker and the way that he struggled last year, was that indicative of what he is becoming as a player, or was that just because everything around him was such crap last year on the defensive side of the ball that it exposed him? I mean, I'm looking at him. He's 27. He'll be 28 years old in June. So it's not like he should be, out of the prime of his career. He should be right in it right now. Now, he's dealt with injuries, as we know, but it just wasn't very good from Amani Hooker last year. And you're hoping, if you're a Titans fan, that that's because of the situation around him. If it's not, and he's starting to slide as a player, well, that makes, finding a safety at some point even more of a priority, right? Because they moved on from Woods.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think it's a valid question. And it is very surprising how young he is given how many good years of football he's already given the Titans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he's the same player he was a couple of years ago. You're right. You have to take into account your surroundings. We've thought, with Byard, that 1 year where they were so bad on D, where they were incredible on offense, the COVID year of 2020, looked like Kevin Byard was just like falling off the table. And no, that's not the case. He was he made some mistakes that year. He had some bad missed tackle, whatever. But like mostly it was just like he was on a terrible defense that couldn't affect the quarterback at all. And so they all got exposed. They all looked worse because of it. But look, like 3-4 years from now, I don't think Amani Hooker is going to be a key player. I don't. So that's why, like I said, like if you find another young safety you really like, yeah, and then right now he's your third safety, and it's like, gosh, of all the needs you have a third safety. Well, first of all, you need depth in this league because everybody gets hurt, and second of all, again, like if in a couple of years that's a really good starter with Winston, then you've done a great. That's the idea. It's the best player for the most part is the way to go.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, is an 18-game NFL season going to be a reality as soon as 2027? Is it going to get pushed back? What are the pros and cons to it? We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are out here today at First Horizon Park. It is the home opener for the Nashville Sounds. They're taking on Charlotte tonight. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. But we got a beautiful sunrise in our city. The ballpark looks great. We got birds chirping all around, which people have made very aware. Made me very aware of that on the text line. Nature is with us today on the program. Chris Jones from the Nashville Sounds with us at 8:30. Adam Vingan coming up later this hour at 7:30. Mike Herndon from paulkuharski.com will be with us at 8 o'clock here on the program today. So, Joe, the 18-game season, we mentioned earlier the owners' meeting is going on out there in Phoenix, and the 18-game regular season is a hot topic of conversation. Now, there's still some thought that could happen as soon as 2027. I guess they've at least left the door open for that at this point. But if they're going to negotiate an 18-game NFL regular season into the mix here, that would mean that they would have to reopen CBA talks, which are currently set to expire after the 2030 season. So they've got a CBA in place. The NFLPA doesn't have to reopen it before then. So we'll see what happens on that front. There are all sorts of owners that are out there talking about this. You know, Carly Ursay-Gordon was talking about how she thinks that, if we can make it work, it's a good idea. She did say, I think the preseason, as far as the fan product goes, the commissioner has openly said that it's not the best product that we have. It is, I would say, for the development of our team. I don't think we can get rid of it, but I think as long as the players want it, which I think they would, because it would mean more revenue, I think it's ultimately a better product. Robert Kraft from the Patriots yesterday, Joe, saying that he thinks that the preseason games are, quote, have not been what it used to be on the preseason front there. So, we're going to, at some point, get to 18 games. I guess the question now is how quickly. Is it going to be 2027? Is it going to be 2028? Does this thing go all the way until the expiration of the current CBA at 2030? But we're going to get there at some point.
Yeah, we are. And obviously 17 is weird, so that's fine. But still, again, I care about like single season records and stuff as a general NFL fan. And this is another thing that to me is just, it's not necessary. I understand that I'm bitching about more football now, but it's not necessary. 16 is what we're used to. 16 is enough. These other leagues, we're sitting here talking about possibly having fewer games. Certainly they're talking about it in the NBA. I've heard people talk about it in relation to hockey and baseball too. The NFL, the one sport, where obviously player safety has become a huge thing. We're not going to 4 games, and it's just I hate the single season record part of it, because it's like now 18, like it just doesn't you can't really compare these things. I understand there's different eras and things like that too, but I just think it sucks. I don't know. I guess maybe I'd be voted on by the general fans. No, I'll take more football games. I'm definitely in agreement with less preseason games.
Yes.
We all agree on that, right? So I guess if you're working with, you're gonna have 20 opportunities to have gates at the stadiums and have TV rights to games. Or I love how the stuff you just said, Robby, that really pairs interestingly with the whole streaming idea of the stupid preseason games, by the way. Talk about mixed messages, but I just, I'm not a fan of it, but you're right. We've known it's inevitable. 17 is weird, 9 home games, 8 road games, all that stuff. So I guess may as well just get it over with and get to it. And then you get into, and I didn't see if this was talked about much by anybody, but the whole missing a game ID. That's just I get it. Like that's part of the answer to the player safety thing, but to me that's so weird.
No, it's stupid. If you're going to play 18 games in the regular season, but it's like, oh, well, every guy on the team has to sit out one game. It's like, well, then what are you playing 18 games for? Like, it's just dumb. Let's not do that. So I hope that
You're
people
diluting your product, but trying to sell it.
Yeah, like it to me, that's ridiculous. Another thing that I hope, because this is going to come up, and I hope the NFLPA is smart enough to push back on it. Like there's this idea thrown out there that go to an 18-game season and that every team should play one international game every year. And I just think that that's so dumb. And I was really glad to hear Kyle Shanahan yesterday talk about this Australia game. And he basically said, yeah, there's really no benefit for us at all doing this. Like he was like, I understand the league likes it, but for us, like if you're asking me as the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, there's no pros to it at all. It's all cons. And I was like, thank you, Kyle Shanahan. We need more people saying stuff like this. I don't like, look, we've talked about the international games. It is what it is. The NFL is going to try to do more of them. I don't know why we need to get to a spot where where every team is playing one international game every single season. Like to me, that's just so dumb. And I understand that that's probably a losing battle, but I hope the NFLPA shows a little bit of a spine here and starts to push back on some of that stuff.
Yeah. I like some teams would probably say convenience and it, where like your body clock's off and you have to do all this crap. So maybe it makes things more fair. But yeah, you don't need that. That's excessive. It's dumb. And speaking of the NFLPA, like I'd love to see them just be like, yeah, we can talk about this 18th game when it comes up. So we'll talk to you then, But that's the thing. Are they going to be? Because what they always do is they dangle the revenue. And and that works is because it's a tremendous number. And so, I mean, I'm assuming that the owners will get their way, but it would be kind of refreshing to see the players just be like, yeah, this is our CBA. We will play it out, and then we'll talk to you in whenever they start negotiating 29 or whatever.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it. I don't expect to see it.
I don't either. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, the Final Four is set. What did we learn about the tournament this year? What does it take to win in college basketball today? Is it still too chalk in the tournament? We'll get the nation's leading college basketball expert, Joe Rexrode, to weigh in on all that coming up next. Adam Vingan coming up at 7:30 to talk some Preds. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Today, Vanderbilt baseball hosts Belmont at Hawkins Field. First pitch at 6 o'clock. You can catch all the action on 102.5 The Game. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. Adam Vingan will join us here in about right around 15 minutes. We will get into all things Nashville Predators with him, with a big game coming up for the Preds on Thursday as they take on the LA Kings. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, the Final Four is set. We got Arizona taking on Michigan, which is just going to be an awesome game. UConn taking on Illinois, and then we'll see what that means for the national championship coming up next Monday. Joe, obviously, we talked heading into the tournament about how chalk it was last year. Are we seeing, the death of the Cinderella in the college basketball tournament? And we saw some upsets in the first round this year, and it was fun to watch. It was an exciting tournament. And, it's chalky in the Final Four. You've got 2 1 seeds. You've got a 2 seed in UConn that's obviously had a ton of success recently, and then a 3 seed in Illinois that's made it. But at least it wasn't, 4 1 seeds like it was a year ago. So it's, some progress there on that front. Overall, what do you make of the way that this tournament has played out to this point? Is there still too much chalk for your liking? What does the Final Four and the teams that have made it to the Final Four kind of tell you about what it takes to win in the current landscape of college basketball?
Well, I think that you get to this point, and I think if you're a fan of the sport, like you're excited about a Final Four that gives us like Michigan, Arizona. It's a game I've wanted to watch all year. UConn and Illinois have played once already, but it's a good Final Four. Like I've said this before, but like George Mason, for example, that was a incredible run to the Final Four 20 years ago. But then they get to the Final Four and they play that Florida team with Al Horford and Joakim Noah, and it's like, man, UConn Florida would have been unbelievable, man. That's the game. So it's like there's a limit. Like, and I get it. I want the Cinderellas too, but I kind of like when they then like lose in the Sweet 16. Just that's me.
Yeah.
Now I understand some people don't, and I also was like going nuts when that George Mason team beat UConn. It's an incredible story. But then you get to this level, and it is kind of like this weekend. It's like, let's see some. Like last year we got a rematch of Auburn, Florida, but we got Duke, Houston. That was the exciting one, and and then we really had 2 of the 3 games were incredible. The 2 games involving Houston. So I'm hoping we get that. But yeah, as far as again, I think it's going to be the same thing. We've had a lot of Final Fours that have been like this, that have been top 4 seeds, top 3 seeds. We've had an all ones Final Four way back in, I think, like 2008. It happens. Is it more of a trend now? I'd probably like the way things are. I just like the talent is more accumulating at the top of the sport, so that would stand to reason. But we could have had, like we certainly could have had some of the lower seeded teams making it. It's just like once you got to the Elite Eight, like Purdue, that's a 2 seed, but Arizona kind of figured it out in the second half. And it's like, there's just a gap between those 2 teams. We saw Michigan, Tennessee. There's just no question about it, right?
Large gap.
Illinois kind of lucked out playing Iowa. Great run by Iowa, but that's kind of lucked out. But then again, before that, Illinois just took it to Houston, and so like that was one of those things. I certainly didn't have that. I had Houston in my Final Four. And then what was the other outclassing that happened? Arizona, Michigan. Well, then the
Tennessee.
other one. Well, yeah, Tennessee. But one thing about this tournament, and I think David Ubbin said it great the other day, is like the reason that this tournament is so great is that you can pretty much count on every year giving you something that will like be talked about forever or over and over years and years. And this Mullins shot to beat Duke and the whole thing is that. I don't agree with people who think it's a better moment than Leitner over Kentucky. For anybody, I say that, and like Ian O'Connor wrote a column for us. He covered the Duke game. He covered this game, and he said it was better. I think this is one of the all-time moments, but I would still put the Leitner shot ahead of it. Just, the pass from Grant Hill, and the fact that he didn't miss a shot all night, that was still the greatest shot, the greatest ending play, and why we should never, by the way, move the ball to half court, in my opinion. But this is a moment that'll last. Whatever happens from here, that play, that ending sequence, is going to always be remembered by Duke fans. It's going to always be remembered by UConn fans, and really college basketball fans, sports fans. So the fact that this tournament is going to give you something like that, I mean, that's a pretty high level of reliability.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a good point. I think when you look at the tournament and the way that it's played out, I'm with you. Like, I think people love Cinderellas early, and then they want to see the big time matchups. Even as somebody who, as you know, a very casual college basketball fan, I'm very excited for Michigan, Arizona. Like, I think that's going to be awesome. And, I'm somewhat excited for UConn, Illinois too. Michigan, Arizona is going to feel like the national championship game, which is hilarious to say when you think about UConn and the fact that they've won 2 titles and are on the verge of a third in the last 4 years. I mean, it's hilarious to say that. Everybody's going to be talking about that, though, heading in the game, of how, like, Michigan, Arizona is the de facto national championship game. And I think UConn is going to take down Illinois, and UConn's going to find themselves in the national championship game yet again, Joe. And there they'll be in the national championship game again, and people are going to be talking about how Michigan, Arizona was the actual championship game that was already played. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if UConn goes out and just wins again. It'd be, Danny Hurley up there doing cartwheels on the sideline and cussing people out and pushing people and all that stuff.
Yeah, it could happen. No, for sure. And sometimes it's the team that, because this is definitely not the wagon UConn teams of, like, those teams were insane. But it's still a really good team. And sometimes the team that just has that incredible late game magic. I mean, like, they blew a 19-point lead to Michigan State, make the huge plays. Caravan, it's a big 3. They come back from 19. Looked like it was going to be Duke doing that to them, and then we know what happened at the end. Sometimes a team that does that stuff like that late game is just, it's just like that team of destiny. And Hurley, by the way, did you see the Hurley thing where it's like the headbutting the ref?
Yes, I did.
Which someone was like, look at him taunt. I mean, he was actually, like, I think, celebrating with the ref, right? I mean, it was like right after the shot went in, he was like happy as a clam over there. But
like, do we need to have the forehead that close?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was but it was, I mean, it was like celebratory.
Yeah, like, I didn't think it was like he was trying to headbutt him or anything, but yeah, it was just.
I mean, it was a little weird.
Funny.
Don't get me wrong, but yeah, no, I mean, he's I don't know how people feel about the idea of him winning a 3rd title in 4 years. That would make him the only coach other than John Wooden to pull that off. So you're talking some pretty heady stuff here if he can do that. But you may be right. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I actually, right now, I kind of think Illinois is going to beat them, but I wouldn't be surprised. And that's one thing that I think is great about this Final Four is I can absolutely believe including Illinois. I can believe any of these teams winning it all. Illinois got their butts kicked by Michigan at home, but Illinois was not playing the defense then that they are now. They figured some things out. And that's the thing about college basketball with these 1-year rosters is that you really can have, I mean, you can have a huge jump from a team within a season in some areas just because, you just have so many new people. And when you have continuity, you're a little bit more consistent. You're probably not going to have as much of an incline. But I think a team like Illinois, I look at them and I'm like, they figured out some defensive stuff, just how to be in the gaps and kind of be more connected. And even a month ago, they weren't doing that. And they're the biggest team. They're loaded with these skilled Euro kids and Keaton Wagler, lottery pick, and they're the number 1 offense in the sport.
Let's quickly head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Brian to the program. Brian, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, fellas, glad y'all sneaking me in. I know y'all got Adam coming up, man. What a wonderful tournament. To see Duke lose is always a great thing in my book as a Michigan fan. I really hated to see how losers took the brunt of all the hate for that last play. That really didn't come down to that last play. But, guys, I really hope people don't overlook Illinois, as you were saying, Joe. Illinois gave Michigan one of their hardest tests during the season. I know they had that blowout game, but Illinois is playing a whole lot better. This Michigan-Arizona game scares me to death because they're one of the few teams throughout the country that are built just like Michigan is, that has the ability to score high, up to the hundreds, and can score as low as 60. But the last thing I'll say before I get off here, guys, Jackson Lindenberg has been the biggest key for this Michigan team. I don't know where they would be without him this year, his leadership and just having a guy on their team. But the sad thing is, he's probably not going to be even if he might sneak into the top 10 in his draft this year. Joe, I don't know what you think. And I think that's just because of his age. If this guy was 21 years old, I think he would be the number one pick in the NBA draft this year. But that's all I got, man. Y'all be good.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes in the draft, Joe. And, I think he's been worth somewhere between $7 and $9 million for Michigan this year with the way that he's played.
Real quick, I will disagree. I agree that the age thing hurts him too much. He's moving up the boards. He's a great player, college player. He would not be higher than some of these guys at the top of the draft when he was 21, 18, doesn't matter. Like, he's not that level of prospect of the Petersons, of the DeBonsas. He's not that. But, I mean, I think he'll go top 10 because he's been a monster going downhill. And the way he's shooting right now, you can't go under on him. So he's going to be a good pro.
I don't know if we've talked about it enough, but that is an all-time name.
Yeah, it is.
In sports, just in
Good
general.
stuff. Very good stuff.
Jackson Lindenberg. Yeah.
Joe, we will catch up with you later.
Yep.
See you later on the program.
Give my sympathy to Adam.
I will do that. Adam Vingan with us coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. A massive game coming up for the Nashville Predators on Thursday against the LA Kings. And to help us talk more about the Preds, we head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our buddy Adam Vinyan to the program from DVD. Adam, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Robbie. You're at the ballpark bright and early.
Ballpark bright and early. There's birds chirping all around. It kind of feels like a bird sanctuary out here a little bit. And, a lot of people are impressed with kind of the wildlife that's going on the show this morning. How are you doing after the UConn shot against Duke the other day? I thought of you immediately.
Why are we doing this? This is a segment about hockey.
I'm just checking to see how you're doing. I'm just seeing how you're doing.
I'm devastated. What do you want me to say?
Well, I
said this yesterday to Derek at the start of our show. I root for teams that don't lose normally.
It's true.
When you consider how Duke has lost in recent years, the Saints with the NOLA no call and the Minneapolis Miracle, my teams only know how to lose in gut-wrenching, heartbreaking fashion. So I should be used to it, but it doesn't dull the pain.
God, now that you bring that up, you've been through the ringer a little bit. Man, I kind of feel bad for it. So, Adam, Preds have 8 games left. They are 1 point up on LA, who does have a game in hand of them. And by the way, you checked at the standings after last night's action. They are 2 points up on Seattle, who has 2 games in hand, and 2 points up on San Jose, who has 2 games in hand. So it's going to be tight coming down the stretch here. Preds have lost 3 in a row. I thought they looked awful on Saturday against Montreal. I thought they actually played pretty well against Tampa and did not get the result. So how are you feeling about the Predators, their chances to get in the playoffs as we sit here today with 8 games remaining?
Well, it's a bit tenuous, and I know that you can only put so much stock into the percentage chance of making the playoffs. But after the Predators won 5 in a row, I believe their chances of making the playoffs were somewhere around 65%. And then they lose 3 consecutive games in regulation, and those odds have dropped to under 30%. So think about where we thought the Predators were a week ago. After they had won 5 in a row, they beat the crap out of San Jose, scored 5 goals on their first 7 shots, and the Predators look to be in the driver's seat. But you lose 3 consecutive games in regulation, and now it's iffy again. You laid it out perfectly, Robbie. The Predators 1 point ahead of the Kings. The Kings have a game in hand, 2 points ahead of the Kraken and Sharks. Both of those teams have 2 games in hand. The Predators are about to play the Kings twice. The Sharks have another 2 games against the Predators, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So it's, I guess if you're the Predators, the silver lining is you do control your own destiny. You are going head-to-head against many of the teams you are in direct competition with. There's a game on that road trip in Utah, the 2 in LA, the 1 in San Jose. I believe there's the other San Jose game is here. So there are opportunities to make up ground here, I guess, or to put those other teams away is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, losing 3 games in a row in regulation, even after winning 5 in a row, it puts you in a tough spot.
And you look at it, I mean, I think Eric Halla's got like 1 goal since the trade deadline. They've got, some good scoring punch from Matthew Wood, which we've talked with you before about, and the way that he's played. But it kind of feels like, Adam, like when Stamkos and O'Reilly aren't scoring, and they haven't scored in the last couple of games, or when they're not scoring, like it's just there's still a team that's really challenged for offense here. So, I mean, they've got Forsberg going okay right now. They've got Yossi, on the back end, but it still feels like a team that is so reliant on their top guys, which puts a lot of pressure on guys like Stamkos and O'Reilly down the stretch here. So I guess against these teams that they're going up against, I'm interested to see how they respond to that. What did you make of, I guess, the 5-game winning streak? They're beating up on some teams that are either down there in the standings or right there where they are. And then you go up against 3 Eastern Conference teams in a row that have pretty good skill and pace to them, and you lose those games. Do you take anything at all away from that in terms of the style of the way that those games were played?
It's a good question. And by the way, if Eric Halla ends up with only one goal post-trade deadline, I'm sure Barry Trotz will love hearing about that, considering the controversial decision he made not to trade Eric Halla at the trade deadline. But to your point, Robbie, about the strength of opponent, I look at the game on Saturday as a key example. The Montreal Canadiens, they're going to make the playoffs. They're playing in a fantastic Atlantic division, and they've got speed, they've got skill, and it felt like the Predators at times in that game on Saturday. You tell me, you were there. It felt like at times that the Predators did not belong on the same ice surface as the Montreal Canadiens. And when you look at the Predators' schedule, I would say their toughest remaining games in terms of the caliber of opponent. They've got one game against the Minnesota Wild and two against the Anaheim Ducks. So, I am interested to see. I'm as important as those games are against the Kings and the Sharks and the Mammoth, I am interested to see how they go up against the Ducks, because the Ducks, they remind me a bit of the Canadiens. They're a fast team. They're a young team. Those games the Ducks games tend to be incredibly wide open. They give up as much as they generate. So I will be interested to see how the Predators play in those games against the Ducks. But if you're trying to forecast, hey, what could a potential playoff series with the Colorado Avalanche look like if the Predators make the playoffs? I watched the game on Saturday, and I'm like, I don't know if it will go very well. The Canadiens are not at the same caliber. They're a great team, but they're not at the same caliber as the Colorado Avalanche. So, if I know that Predators fans out there, I'm trying not to piss off your listeners the way that I piss off ours in the afternoon, but I understand that there are Predators fans out there, especially during the 5-game winning streak, that were like, hey, they're playing so well, they're peaking at the right time. They can give the Avalanche a run. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if this team squeaks into the playoffs, what was the quote? It was from, I believe it was Daryl Sutter, the year the Predators played the Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs, and he was the coach of the Flames, and he was talking about the Avalanche and playing the Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs. And Sutter said it's going to be a waste of 8 days or something like that. I don't know if the Predators made it to 8 days being swept by the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know if it would go that poorly, but I don't think it would go particularly well.
So you guys had a really interesting discussion yesterday on DVD about, the Vegas Golden Knights. They fire Bruce Cassidy. They bring in John Tortorella. And you kind of laid it out well in terms of framing it. Vegas kind of feels like the antithesis of the Predators, right? Like the Predators are an extremely loyal franchise. And I do think that there are things about that have served them well. Vegas is totally cutthroat. Like there's no loyalty to anyone. Coach, Jonathan Marchessault, you name it. I mean, they're totally cutthroat. And obviously, I mean, they've won a Stanley Cup. They've been to another Stanley Cup final. I understand that the rules were different for them coming into the league. But as the Predators are going through this process here where they're going to find a new general manager at some point in the next couple of weeks here, do you feel like that has to start to be a little bit more of the way that they operate? Maybe not all the way, because I don't know if anybody's all the way to Vegas, but do you feel like that's got to be an intentional thing for the Predators here as they move into their next phase?
I do. And you're right. I don't think any other team in the NHL can truly match how cutthroat the Vegas Golden Knights are. But I admire how ruthless they seem to be in pursuit of winning. I said this on DVD yesterday. Under no circumstances would the Vegas Golden Knights have a handshake agreement with Ryan O'Reilly on not trading him without his consent if it wasn't in his contract. The Golden Knights would have traded Ryan O'Reilly in a heartbeat if an offer came that intrigued them.
Yeah.
The Golden Knights have now had as many head coaches in less than a decade as the Predators have had in nearly 30 years. John Tortorella is their 4th coach. The Predators have had 4 coaches in nearly 30 years. And part of me has always sort of admired that loyalty that David Poyle showed Barry Trotz, that the organization showed David Poyle, and so on and so forth. But I do think that this organization could use a change in philosophy, which is why I want the next GM to be someone who has zero ties to the organization in any way, shape, or form. And I think that you're right, Robbie. The Golden Knights came in with a bit of a silver spoon in their mouth because of the expansion rules. The Predators did not have all of the advantages that the Golden Knights did when the Predators entered the league, in the late 90s. But the Golden Knights have been to 2 Stanley Cup finals. They've won 1. I believe the only year they missed the playoffs on the final game of the season in a shootout, if I recall correctly. I remember watching that game in the media room at Bridgestone Arena. So the Golden Knights are a winning franchise. Who knows if the John Tortorella experiment will work? The Golden Knights did win last night, but I would like the Predators to skew more in that direction. Maybe not all the way, but I would like them to move more in that direction.
It's going to be interesting to see if that ends up being the case. Adam, thank you, sir, as always. I apologize for the shot I took at you asking you about the Duke game earlier. I hope you forgive me, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. We will be out there at First Horizon Park starting at 3:00, and I really want a hot dog. I can't go to the ballpark
It's a good day
without getting a hot dog. I mean, it's 7:45 in the morning. I don't think you should be eating a hot dog right now, but at 3:00 is perfect hot dog time. So, Downs, if you're listening, I'd like a hot dog. Mustard, please.
I'd probably take one if somebody offered. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Robbie.
Adam Vigan with us here on the program, and they will be out here later today at First Horizon Park starting at 3:00. We'll have the Rob Rant coming up next. Mike Herndon from PaulKuharsky.com will be with us at 8. All that ahead. Robbie and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
The birds are chirping above me.
Pretty bird. Yeah, can you say pretty bird?
I think the birds add a nice little ambiance to our radio program.
Hey, everybody!
It's mating season for the birds.
I think this is mating season.
Got to get the blood flowing again down there.
Yes, pretty bird.
Very concerned at some point that I'm going to get pooped right on top of the head.
Are we going to wipe it every time? I'm not wearing a splash guard.
So the birds are getting after it.
Vrabel, smash away.
It is that time of the day, time for the Rob Rant. And at least one person on the text line, Kevin, would like me to rant about the birds in the background. But I'm not going to do that because it's a pretty day out here and it's baseball season here with the Nashville Sounds, and the birds are feeling it this morning. So we appreciate everybody weighing in on that. Ian, here's where I'm going to start today. You know,
Okay.
I know when I go to a doctor's office that whatever the appointment time is, I mean, you can pretty much automatically just tack on 15, 20 minutes before you ever get back to that, right?
Usually,
so,
yeah.
You know, if my appointment's at, 12:30, I understand I'm probably not getting back there until 12:50, maybe 1 o'clock, something like that. So that I don't like that, but it is what it is. I think everybody understands that. When it gets to 55 minutes past your scheduled appointment time, to me, this is a huge problem. And it's not necessarily a problem for me for the most part, even though it happened to me a couple of weeks ago. But I just wonder how do people who have like regular 9-to-5 jobs operate this way, right? Like if you're trying to take some time out in the middle of your day to go to your doctor's appointment and they say you're going to have it at 12:30 and you don't even get brought back there until almost 1:30. Like how do you even operate that way? And I just,
That's a tough
for
one.
some reason, this is the line of work where I guess this is just acceptable because, what else are you going to do? You got to go to the doctor. So you're going to wait. I understand that. But 55 minutes, I was looking at my clock, and I usually don't get upset all that much. But I will say at about the 48-minute mark a couple weeks ago when I was past my appointment, I did look at the front desk person. I was like, hey, what are we doing? Right? Like, it's 48 minutes past the appointment time. What are we doing in here? So, look, it would be another thing if it's a one-time thing, this particular place, which I'm not going to name because I don't want to throw people under the bus. But this particular place, it's a pretty common thing. I guess I just don't understand how we get to the point where, like, routine checkup stuff that's supposed to be scheduled for a certain time ends up happening almost an hour later at a doctor's office. I get things happen sometimes. It's not like this was in ER or anything. It's just a regular checkup thing. 55 minutes past. Drove me nuts the other day, Ian.
That does seem extreme. I've been in some offices where you're waiting for some, maybe waiting for some blood work, and there's a sign that says, if you have been waiting here for longer than 15 minutes, go up and check with the front desk kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But 55 minutes does seem a bit extreme without any type of update. Usually you get maybe a little bit of an update. They'll call you back up and then give you an update, and then you go back. So that is a lot. And waiting in the doctor's offices can be stressful. You don't want to wait in there as much as possible.
No.
Because unfortunately, most people go to the doctor when you're not feeling well. Sometimes you're, stuck in a room with a bunch of people who might have something you don't want to catch. So we'd like to keep the waiting, at least in the public areas, to as minimal as possible. The double whammy is when you wait for a while, then you bring you back, and then you sit back there in the room, and it's by yourself, and it's double another wait, and it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Wait, and hurry up and wait.
I mean, an appointment that should take 30 minutes, that's 2 hours of my day gone. 2.5 hours of the day, just out the window at that point. A lot of people on the text line saying that they don't go to the doctor. It's like, well, we don't go to the doctor. And then they say,
That's not good either.
This is a really good one too. What'll really piss you off is when they charge you when you're late. Like, what? So you guys can be an hour late to my appointment, but you're going to charge me if I'm 15 minutes late? That's a good point brought up on the text line there too. This is just It's just an observation that I've made at the doctor's office part of this. It's a very frustrating thing. And again, this particular place, it's happened a few times, so I have less and less patience for it. So I guess I need to find a new doctor.
That could be an option. Yeah. I mean, you might have to check that, see what kind of options you have there. Could be an upgrade. You never know.
You never know. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Mike Herndon from paulkuharski.com will join us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 3, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. Talking some Titans. And to help us do that, we head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our buddy Mike Herndon to the program from PaulKuharski.com. Mike, good morning, buddy. How we doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing awesome, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with me this morning. So, Mike, I want to throw this out there. If Mike Herndon is the general manager of the Tennessee Titans, and you can envision a perfect scenario as to what takes place at number 4, either a pick or a situation that pops up where you can trade back, or 2 guys that you're choosing between at number 4, take it any way you want to take it. What is Mike Herndon's dream scenario for the Titans at number 4 as we sit here today on March 31st?
Yeah, I think for me, and this is kind of where I've been for a while, I think it's David Bailey. And, you know, I know a lot of people love Jeremiah Love. You know, some people are Reuben Bain fans, but for me, it's Bailey. And I think, you know, the value of the position, the fact that, you know, he does have the profile, I think, of an elite edge rusher. And I think somehow along the way that this edge class at the top has gotten discounted as if these are not blue chip players, because everybody keeps saying, you know, well, there's no blue chip players at premium positions. I think there are. I think both Bain and Bailey are. Now, they aren't perfect prospects. These are not Myles Garrett level prospects, but are they close to a Will Anderson level prospect? Are they close to, are they better than Abdul Carter? I think they're better than Abdul Carter was last year, both of them. And so I think David Bailey, to me, is the guy. I mean, the production, he had, I think, 81 pressures last year, 14 or 15 sacks, has been one of the most productive edge rushers. If you look at win rate, he had like a 38% win rate on true pass sets, which is an insane number historically, better than pretty much, I think it may be better than any edge rusher coming out in PFF's kind of charting history. So I think this idea that Bailey and Bain are not elite edge rushers is nonsense. And I would rather have one of those guys, and specifically Bailey, just because I think the profile, the arm length, the speed, the explosiveness, the get off, all that stuff, I think that's all going to translate. And I think he's going to be one of the best pass rushers in the NFL here in a few years.
Well, I'm totally with you on the David Bailey front. So let's play that out real quick, Mike, and let's say that happens, and they end up with Bailey at number 4. When you factor that in, when you factor in Saleh and the coaching staff with him coming in, and plus everything they've already done on defense in free agency, how much better is this defense? Like, if they get Bailey to go along with everything else they've already done and the coaching staff, what kind of defense are we talking about in your mind next year?
I think the front, as in the front 4, it becomes one of the best in the NFL most likely, and pretty quickly, because you're looking at a front 4 on pass rush downs of Jermaine Johnson, Jeffrey Simmons, John Franklin Myers, and David Bailey, and that I put that up with just about any other group in the NFL at this point. I mean, Simmons and Franklin Myers are 2 of the top 3 sack leading players among the defensive tackles in the league last year. I mean, there is no better interior pass rush than what the Titans are going to be able to field in 2026. And if you start to put high quality edge rushers around those 2, there's nowhere to go. There's no safe place to go for quarterbacks and for, you know, protections. And I think that's a winning formula. You saw what the Seahawks did just a few months ago in the Super Bowl. And yes, Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba were awesome as well. But that front is really what turned the screws for Seattle in that run. And I think you could build something pretty similar here pretty quickly. And then you've got depth behind it, the Solomon Thomases, the Jordan Elliott's, Femi Oladejo being in the mix still. Jacob Martin, who's a quality edge rusher. You could come at them in waves, which is exactly what Robert Saleh wants to do anyway. And that starts to get me really excited that is a strength of your team for the next 3 or 4 years that you can build everything else around.
So, Mike, you mentioned the strength that they're going to have in the interior of the defensive line. I'm worried about the interior of the offensive line, outside of Skoronski, obviously, but center and right guard, to me, right now, are very concerning spots. Now, we'll see what they do in the draft here. They could draft a center at some point. We'll see. But I guess, number one, do you agree with that? How concerned are you about center and guard? And when you look at what the Titans have done this offseason to this point, I guess how disappointing is it that they didn't better address those two spots?
Yeah, that's certainly the biggest concern on the roster to me at this point. And I think my view in kind of reading the tea leaves of this, I think the center market did not play out the way they thought it would when they released Cushenberry. Now, they might not have wanted to keep Cushenberry anyway. Maybe he's just not a fit. Maybe they just think him coming back from the Achilles, they didn't feel like he could get the job done anymore as he did pre-injury. But they created that hole and then did not seem to be completely prepared for what happened with McGovern going back to Buffalo and then Linderbaum getting that crazy contract from the Raiders, which I don't blame them for not going there with the basically fully guaranteed $81 million 3-year deal that Linderbaum got. But I just don't think they thought that center market was going to go that way. And they end up with Austin Schlottman, who I think is, a Corey Levin-esque player, 30, early 30s, has been around for forever, but never really been a starter, but has played well when called into action, especially last season under Carmen Brasillo and Brian Daboll in New York. So I think he's a passable starter, maybe, but I mean, certainly replacement level guy that you want to get another guy in to better that spot pretty quickly. And then right guard, I'm just shocked they have not brought back Kevin Zeitler yet. I think that's a no-brainer. He played really well for them. He cannot be that expensive at 36 years old. And I just think going into this draft and thinking you're trying to find two starters on the offensive line, that seems awfully risky going into a big season for Cam Ward in the offense.
Well, and to that point, like Mike, it's not necessarily a non-starter for me, but I don't love the idea of having a second-year quarterback and a rookie center. I don't love that idea at all. And if that's the way it plays out, that honestly kind of scares me to death, particularly early in the season as, the center is trying to get used to seeing NFL defenses for the first time.
Exactly. And then, Ward's going to be learning the new offense and all that. And I don't think he'll have any trouble picking up what Daboll's asking him to do. But, asking him to set protections if you aren't fully comfortable with a rookie center doing it, that's just putting more on his plate. And I thought if they could have gone and gotten a really good veteran center that could handle the protection setting and take that off of Ward's plate and kind of be that, partner in the brain trust on the field that Ward needs. I think that would have been extremely valuable to Ward this year. Allow him to focus on some other things when he's coming to the line of scrimmage rather than, all right, I've got to set the protection now and I've got to look at the shell and see what's going on with the defensive backs. It's just a lot to put on a guy's plate. Even for a guy that I think in Ward, I mean, he's going to put the work in and he's going to study the playbook and he's going to know what he's being asked to do, I think. But, it would have been nice to get him some help.
Mike Herndon with us here on the program. So, Mike, let's play it out that Love is the pick at number 4, and he's kind of the major offensive piece that they add via the draft. If it's Love, if it's Wan'Dale Robinson, they make the decision to keep Calvin Ridley. Obviously, there's DK and Io Manor from last year. How would you feel, given that scenario, about the job that Mike Borgonzi and the Titans have done on the weapons front for Cam Ward this offseason?
I think it's a B job. And frankly, it's not necessarily their fault that it's a B, right? I think they're doing, if they get that's about the best they could do with the circumstances they were given that it was not a great wide receiver free agent class. Alec Pierce, I liked better than Wan'Dale Robinson, but for the money, I think Wan'Dale's a good investment, especially given the relationship with Daboll and everything like that. And in the age too, I think he's only 24 or 25 years old. He's on the younger side for a free agent coming off his rookie contract. So I don't mind that. And then the draft class just doesn't present there's no Julio Jones, there's no Jamar Chase in this class. I like Cornell Tate a lot. I think he's very much wide receiver 1. I have major heartburn with taking a guy who is mostly pretty much solid at everything and doesn't really have a special trait at number 4 overall. So to me, I think Love is, if they're going to go weapon, they've got to go Love at 4. And look, I mean, it would be a super fast group of weapons. You look at Love runs 4.36, Ridley, Wandell Robinson, DK, all those guys are low 4.4. Even Iomanner, low 4.4, 4.3 kind of guys. So it would be a lot of speed on the field, which I think they want. And it would be interesting to see. But I think that would be about as good as they could do this offseason from a weapon standpoint.
All right, Mike, last thing for you. We haven't had you on the show since the rebrand went down. What do you make of the new jerseys and the rebrand from the Titans?
And I love it. I guess I don't get the whole argument of, oh, well, you can't wear the Oilers colors. The Oilers colors are objectively great. So what is the option? You give those colors back to Houston, or you just put them in the closet forever and nobody gets to see really great colors on a football field, because, I just don't understand the reasoning behind that. So I think they did a great job kind of weaving it all together, making it Tennessee, making it Nashville, but also honoring their franchise history. And I think it's great that they have kept that bond to the Oilers alive through, the outreach to guys like Earl Campbell and the old Oilers, Bruce Matthews, those kind of guys that, now are back around the program more often, because, there was a time period where that was not happening. And I think that's just good for the history of the franchise to all be tied together. Warren Moon, being, involved with Cam Ward at some point last offseason. I think that's all great stuff and kind of ties the franchise together. And I think, get over any complex about, well, those are going to look like Houston. In 5 years, everyone's going to look at those jerseys and see the Titans, and no one will think anything about Houston or the Oilers. So I think they look great. I love what they did. I love the logo already. I'm already starting to get used to it. So I think they did an awesome job, and super excited to see it on the field this fall.
I'm totally with you. Totally. Do you hate T-Rack as much as Kuharski does? Boy, that was fun a couple weeks ago. He went crazy.
I know. I've got no beef with T-Rack. So yeah, I grew up with him, I guess, to a degree as well. So maybe that's a generational thing. But I think T-Rack is perfectly fine. Go dig through those garbage cans, my man.
That's right. Well, Mike, awesome stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with me this morning. Always great to get your perspective. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, my man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Robert.
Yep, Mike Herndon with us here on the program from paulkuharski.com. We'll take your thoughts, your reaction to what Mike had to say. We got Chris Jones from the Nashville Sounds coming up later this hour as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Teed up with us at the 5th annual 615 Open, May the 28th at Hermitage Golf Course. We are once again supporting Folds of Honor to help them fund life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. You can register now to play or sponsor at 615open.com. We are out here at First Horizon Park. It is opening day for the Nashville Sounds here at home. They're taking on Charlotte tonight at 6:35. You can catch that on 94.9 The Fan. But we'll be out here all day long here on 102.5 The Game. We got birds chirping in the background. It's a beautiful day out here. So if you're looking to get out and do something tonight, we got a baseball game going on out here. There are fireworks after the game tonight. So a lot of stuff going on out here today. Appreciate Mike Herndon for being with us in the last segment. It was interesting to get his take on the David Bailey part of this and the pass rushers. Like I think Mike is really, really good. So I always respect Mike's opinion of how he kind of views these guys and what he thinks. And he is really high on David Bailey. He's really high on Ruben Bain. And the more I look at it, I know we talked so much about Jeremiah Love, and it may end up playing out that way. But if Bailey's there at number 4, I'd have a really difficult time passing on that. You know, he mentioned if you add Bailey to the mix and you're talking Bailey on the edge, you just went and got Jermaine Johnson this offseason. Hopefully he recovers nicely from, kind of that second year removed from injury. And then you've got John Franklin Myers, Jeffrey Simmons in the middle there. And that's a pretty potent group, particularly if Bailey turns out to be what you think he can be really early in his career. I mean, we've seen these pass rushers. Sometimes it takes them a little bit to come in the league and get going. But other times, some of these rookies step in here and immediately they're impactful. But, Ian, I like the sound of that level of pass rush. If Bailey's what I think he can be at the NFL, you combine him with John Franklin Myers and Jeffrey Simmons, that could be pretty fun up front for the Titans defense.
Yeah, the Jeremiah Love situation at 4 is intriguing, what it could do for the offense and for Cam Ward and how that might help a young quarterback. And the Titans kind of lack some explosiveness at running back in particular, could use some extra team speed. But when you think about what the addition on the D-line could be there at 4, when you throw in David Bailey or maybe even Arvell Reese or even Ruben Bain, I think Bain is not the explosive guy and the edgy, twitchy, bendy guy that Bailey is, right? But if you add him to that rotation of that 4 stand-up, third down NASCAR package of a combination of Jeffrey Simmons, John Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson / Femi Oladejo / Ruben Bain. You got 5 there, and you pick 4, and you kind of rotate those guys out, and they all stand up, and you can kind of create some matchups, I think, on the offensive line, even if it's not Bailey, even if it is Bain. That makes me really intrigued about what they will do at 4. And one thing I have kind of been thinking about big picture here, I know we still have some time, but it felt like in free agency, the moves that the Titans have made, General Manager Mike Borgonzi, really, it felt like he valued the input from the coaching staff about some of the players they want to bring in, whether it's Jermaine Johnson with Saleh from the Jets or John Franklin Myers or Solomon Thomas, or on offense with Wan'Dale Robinson, Bellinger, the tight end, with Dable. How much is the coaching staff going to influence the pick as much as will they influence the pick as much as it feels like they did during free agency as far as the roster moves go? How much is Borgonzi going to lean on those guys with this in the fit? And does that make us lean a certain way? Or is Borgonzi just going, hey, you guys can help, I'll listen to you more in free agency, but when it comes to the draft, I'm picking the guy who I want to pick for the team. I'm interested to see how that goes.
Well, then if it doesn't play out that way, let's say they get Bailey, and so obviously Jeremiah Love's not going there at number 4. Well, does it almost force you after that? You talk about picking best player available. What if you roll around to 35 and the best player available is again an edge? Well, I mean, you could probably make the argument that they could draft 2. But, does it almost force you at 35 to take receiver? Because if
go
not,
offense at least.
Yeah, because if you don't, let's say they don't end up with Love at 4 and they end up with Bailey. Well, that's probably the way I'd go if given the choice, and I'd feel really good about that defensive front. But then you turn around and you look at the offense, and you're like, okay, well, they added Wan'Dale Robinson, and they kept Calvin Ridley. I have no idea if Calvin Ridley's going to be able to stay healthy throughout the season. And if he is healthy, like what level of player is he at this point in his career? You got Tony Pollard, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, he's fine at running back. But do you have enough weapons offensively for your second-year quarterback, which through all of this, through the head coach, through, whatever they do in this year's draft, through all of this, he's still the most important part of this, right? Like, if he works out, that changes your franchise. If he doesn't, that sets your franchise back. Like, that doesn't change with this draft pick coming up. So if it's Bailey at 4, are you almost forced to go like wide receiver at 35 just because you got to give him something else out there? Like, if they don't go Love at 4, you're looking at that offense. It's like, well, great, you added Wan'Dale Robinson, and he's a good player, but I still don't think you got enough to really take the next step to be an explosive offense, unless Ward on his own just improves unbelievably from year 1 to year 2, which I guess is possible, but I'm not banking on that.
Yeah. You do wonder what the kind of fallback is at 35, the domino effect of what you take at 4, who falls at 35. Doesn't sound like there's a clear-cut running back number 2 behind Jeremiah Love that you would kind of take right there. Which wide receiver would fall? Are you forcing yourself? That is a good question. Do you force yourself into offense if you go defense first pick?
Right.
And what if Edge's best player available again, like your mock draft we talked about earlier, you took, who was it? Zion Johnson?
Zion Young. Yeah.
Zion Young. Yeah. Missouri at 35. So, I mean, there's your outside linebacker edge right there who could I don't know if he's a starter, but you have Jeremiah Love and you have an edge help to throw into the rotation. It is interesting to see. This is where I guess they do all those mock drafts and all their different scenarios where they go through, and they probably have picked every different scenario at this point, and which one do they seem to like better.
Well, and you got to be prepared for a bunch of different scenarios in front of you, right? Like somebody on the YouTube chat is asking about what's going to happen in front of him. We know Mendoza's going number 1 to the Raiders. I think Reese is going to the Jets, but maybe not. What happens at 3 to the Cardinals? That's still interesting to me. Like, do they go David Bailey? Do they go one of these tackles? Do either the Jets or the Cardinals in front of you go unexpected and draft Ty Simpson? Which, I mean, we are talking quarterback there. I guess if one of them loves Ty Simpson, they could do that at number 2 or number 3. I know the Jets have more picks down the road where maybe they can land it, but that part of it's going to be interesting. Like if you're Borgonzi and you're the staff planning this out, you got to have some contingency scenarios. I mean, look,
would you hate Sonny Styles at 4?
I wouldn't love it. Not that I don't think he's going to be a really good player, because I do, but I also think in today's NFL, you can find good linebacker play. Now, I say that. I don't know, the Titans haven't necessarily had great linebacker play lately, but you can find a good off-the-ball linebacker.
I'm trying to go through
if he's unbelievable, like if you just look at him and you're like, you know what, this guy he's a Hall of Famer. Well, then, okay, then I could probably be talked into that. But that would probably, like if you're talking Bailey, Love, or Styles, he would be the one that I'd be least excited about. Okay. And maybe I'm stupid for that, but that's just how I would feel.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go through the free agency moves in which positions they haven't addressed the most, and kind of going that way and trying to maybe narrow down a few options. I don't know if that's a smart way to go about it, because at 4, you don't really want to draft for a position, that you holes in your roster necessarily, but I'm trying to work on that exercise here and there.
Yeah. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. We'll take more of your thoughts on the Titans and the NFL draft. Chris Jones from the Nashville Sounds will be with us here coming up in a little while as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. I got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to the Music City Rugby Showdown coming up at Geodis Park on Sunday, April the 19th. The caller number 4, 615-737-1025. Caller 4 will win a pair of tickets to the Music City Rugby Showdown coming up at Geodis Park on April the 19th. Taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. One texter says, do you think the amount of money that Jeremiah Love would get at pick number 4 plays any part in the Titans drafting him at that spot? Because at that point, he'd be one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL if he's picked at number 4 overall. I don't think so. Like, I think if you look at it, first off, it's still not that much money when you compare it to some of these other spots around the league. So you're talking about a guy that you're getting in, the younger part of his career. I think when you feel the best about a running back, you start to get into strange territory in terms of like second contract or not with some of these guys once they reach 27, 28, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I wouldn't think much about that if I'm the Titans. Like if he's the offensive weapon that they think he is, then that's worth it to me, having that spot at number 4. I mean, the really interesting one is going to be how they view, like, let's say they view Jeremiah Love as the best player in the draft, but he's the best player in the draft by a slim margin when compared to, I don't know, David Bailey, who's there at number 4. Are they that convicted about best player available, which Borgonzi said yesterday, that's what they're doing, best player available. Are they that convicted about it where the positional value wouldn't matter at least a little bit at that point? Like, do they think Jeremiah Love is that much better or David Bailey? Or if it's pretty close, do they look at it and say, well, we got to go David Bailey because of the position he plays? Or is it just as simple as, we think Jeremiah Love is a better football player than David Bailey is, and that's the way we're going to go? Like, that part of it's going to be really interesting to me to see if that option is presented to them, if that's the way they go on that front. Skylar says Bailey in the first round, Young in the second round would be nice. 2 true pass rushers. Again, like, I don't necessarily hate that idea where they could go 2 edge rushers with their first and second picks, because they do, like, you can never have enough of those guys. I just still look at the offense and I think about, your quarterback. Are you giving him enough weapons? Like if let's say they went that route and they drafted 2 edge guys with their first and second round picks. Well, they're going to draft offensive players at some point. I mean, not that you can't find, an impactful wide receiver in the 3rd round or anything like that. But let's say that, they just find guys that are, just dudes there in the 3rd, 4th round. Are you good enough with the offseason that you've had with Robinson, Ridley coming back, presumably a step forward from Io Manor and DK on the receiving front? Like, is that good enough in year number 2 for Cam Ward? I think that's kind of the question you got to ask yourself. And by the way, coupled with all that is, Tony Pollard.
They need an upgrade at running back. I agree. They need an upgrade. They need to add somebody, whether that's in the draft. I don't know.
Well, by the way,
he's still an option, but
you can get a running back. Like, if it's not Jeremiah Love, I mean, you can find another running back in the draft.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not opposed to that, especially if they don't get Love.
Right.
I
would find one in the 4th
I would like
round.
them to take somebody. Yeah. And I'd like them to find one more pass catcher. Whether that's a Stowers kind of / hybrid guy, or whether that's another wide receiver. I'd like one running back and one pass catcher, at least, I think, for the offense. And I'm curious whether or not they feel like they still need to address the interior offensive line. If they're good with Schlotman, however we're pronouncing that right now, and this Cordell Volson kid from Cincy, from the Bengals, whether or not those two are, locked in as the starters, or they're trying to still find some extra help there.
Gino on the text line says, if their first 2 picks are defensive in addition to the free agency move, it would make sense for the uniform change. We would be Houston. Top 10 defense, bottom 10 offense. Gross. This is from Gino on the text line. Yeah, I mean, look, I understand that. As other people on the text line have pointed out, you also help your quarterback by having a really good defense. So, look, I want the Titans to find wide receivers that are game-changing type players. I want the Titans to score more touchdowns. I'm tired of watching Titans games where you end up looking at the final score and the Titans have mustered up 14 points, right? Like it's 2026. We need to get out of that. You know, you're not going to get there in 1 year. Like you're not going to go from scoring in the teens to, in the low 30s next year or anything probably. But, we need to get to the point where the Titans offense is scoring 23, 24 points a game and giving yourself a chance to win with that defense. So I'm with you on that front. They need more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. I guess what I'm saying is it's also not necessarily a terrible thing if they end up with two good edge rushers in this draft, right? Like they haven't drafted a first-round edge rusher since 2010. That's 16 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's a long time in the National Football League. Given how important that position is, that's a long time in the NFL to go without doing that.
Yeah, I mean, and especially at 4, that is your chance to find one of those, elite guys with some elite traits up there. And that's kind of where I lean as far as I kind of just want somebody who is an elite trait freak that you can't really get at normally in the later half at 10.
Yes.
Which
is why I'm out on the receivers at 4.
Yeah. And so if that is Styles or if that is Bailey, if that is Love, I think I'm okay with any of those 3. I think I would be okay with Styles just because he feels like a top athletic guy. And I kind of worry about just, get the top players, top talent you can get, and the coaches will find a spot for him. I think this defensive staff can find a spot to make him worth the 4th overall pick.
Yeah.
Even if he's kind of like an in-between position, I think they can find a way. I like the versatility, put him on the edge on certain packages, keep him as your off-ball linebacker on certain packages. I think it could be fun.
How would you feel? I don't think this will happen because I think the ability that he's got is going to ensure that he goes before 4. But if Reese slides to 4,
I would like that.
I would too.
I like Reese. He seems kind of like
he's kind of a freak.
Him and Styles, the freak factor is high, and I'm not going to pass on probably either of those two if they're there. I might, that is a toss. That's tough between them and Love at 4 for me. I'll be honest with you. Even the Styles out of position thing, just the pure level of freakness is intriguing. But Love seems like a super fast, twitchy guy too. Awesome speed, versatility. So I wouldn't hate the Love pick. I think they're in an okay spot.
I'm liking the chances of them ending up with a pretty good player, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you would hope so at number 4. As we know in the NFL draft, it doesn't always play out that way. But I'm liking their chances of ending up with a dude out there. 615-737-1025, our phone number. One more segment coming up from First Horizon Park. Next, Jake Lyman is in the building. He'll have a Next Man Up coming up at 9 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We are out here at First Horizon Park. It is the Nashville Sounds taking on Charlotte tonight. First pitch at 6:35, and it is a gorgeous day for baseball out here. I mean, people are already buzzing around out here. It's going to be 85 degrees today. The birds are chirping, and it's a beautiful day for baseball. How about this? I was talking with people from the Sounds about this before the show. Rick Sweet, manager of the Sounds, he's 92 wins away from becoming the all-time winningest manager in minor league baseball. How about that? 92 wins, which is attainable this year. It will require a very good year this year for the Nashville Sounds, but it is attainable this year. So come on out tonight. There are going to be fireworks after the game. So as we know, I mean, if you've ever been out to the First Horizon Park for a Sounds game, it's a great place to bring your whole family. The baseball's good. You've got all kinds of stuff to do in the park. They've got stuff going on all season long, whether it's Throwback Thursdays that they do. They've got the mini golf course out here that's going on. They got the bandbox in right field. So come on out tonight. They'll be here all week long as well. So opening night tonight for the Sounds for the home portion of their schedule. Again, first pitch coming up at 6:35 tonight on the program. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. One quick texter asking, what if David Bailey turns out to be just like Isaiah Wilson? We don't have a good track record with early first-round defensive players. Well, Isaiah Wilson was an offensive player. He was an offensive tackle, and he was a late offensive tackle. So I'm not worried about David Bailey on the Isaiah Wilson front of this. So I think it's going to be all okay there. We mentioned the Nashville Sounds. They are taking on Charlotte tonight on the program, and I am very happy to welcome my good friend Chris Jones to the program, Senior Director of Marketing for the Nashville Sounds. Jonesy, how we doing? What's going on?
Always a pleasure. I'm just glad that I know you've been bored all through the winter, nothing to talk about.
That's right.
So I'm glad Sounds Baseball is here to kind of help that for you.
Got to step it up a little bit. So tell us, let's start with tonight, right? So if people are coming out to the ballpark tonight, we mentioned it's a fantastic day for baseball out here. What's got kind of going on today as opening day gets going here for the Sounds, and then we'll go through some of the season-long stuff here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is baseball weather.
Sure is.
You don't draw it up much better than this. So, the big thing for us, just baseball's back. Come out, enjoy the vibes. Bandbox is going to be what it always is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Good frozen drinks out there. We've got some shirt giveaways that we're doing today, some concert T-shirts at the gates. I think the mayor's going to be out here, some different things.
Sweet.
So this, it'll be a good day for baseball in general.
Yeah, good day for baseball in general. And, I've been keeping up on social media with some of the season-long promotions that you guys are doing. And you guys are thinking outside of the box this year with your strategy. Tell us a little bit about what's going to be going on this season with the Sounds and some of the things that you guys are going to be rolling out this year.
Yeah, we've got you nailed it. We are going a little bit outside the box. We're minor league baseball. We embrace that. We kind of look at ourselves, to use a music term, as an independent artist in town. We're going to think outside the box. We're going to treat things a little differently. So, we've got things like monthly custom sneaker giveaways. I know you're a big sneakerhead. I've seen your closet.
Sure am.
So we'll do that. Some fun different ones each month. We just did a mixtape drop around town. So if you've ever, been around the city and you've got like Backpack Rap or whatever independent artists that hand out their mixtapes, we did that around town quite a bit. And just a general look and feel. Everything that we're doing is elevated in a way that just separates us from the rest of the teams in town.
We got people asking about the tail wagging Tuesdays. Are we still going to have the dogs in the park around here, which I know is a big thing for you guys and a big thing for families coming in too.
Yeah. So the themes each week or each day is you got tail wagging Tuesday, you got winning Wednesday, throwback Thursday, firework Friday, hit city Saturday, and Sunday family fun day. One of the fun things with Thursdays now is we've got some drink specials that kind of throw it back to the old days. You got $4 neutrals and $3 draft beers and $4 brats. And then Tuesdays, you got $2 hot dogs, $2 nachos, $2 popcorn. So you can come out here and buy a berm ticket and get all three of those things for, $20, $25, whatever that may be.
It's hard to beat that in today's landscape. I was talking, and we just brought this up. It's amazing when you look at Rick Sweet. He is 92 wins away from becoming the all-time winningest minor league baseball coach. And we were talking about this with some Sounds people before the show. That's attainable this year. It's going to require a good year, but it's attainable this year. So that's pretty awesome.
As an organization, we've won that many games before, and he has as a coach. And I don't know if y'all have talked about this yet, but we have the number one farm system.
Yep.
The Brewers have the number one farm system in all of Major League Baseball. And so the talent's here. The facilities here, definitely able to do it. I think the only thing that rivals coaches' prowess is my online dynasty when I'm playing college football. So, he and I may have to compete a little bit on that platform. But
I've been part of that dynasty.
Yeah, but no, coach is the best of the best. And so you pair that with the team that we have, fans should come out here and enjoy this. We've got guys like Mizorowski, those kind of guys that went up to the Brewers and now are day one starters for that organization. So you see a lot of really, really good talent here on the field.
Well, you mentioned, as somebody who grew up here, coming to Nashville, the city's so much different than it was 25. I mean, we're sitting out on the Broward deck right now, and we're looking out at it. And there's a gigantic crane right in front of me.
Yeah.
There's all these new buildings. But I still think, with all the new stuff that we've got here, having a place to come bring your family, I still think is a premium thing around here.
Yeah.
And I look at this, especially during the summertime when you got, all this, the weather's great. It's March the 31st. You never know what the weather's going to be.
Yeah.
It's 85 degrees today. It couldn't be better. This is for the value of what you get here. This to me is right up near the top when it comes to things to do with your family in Nashville.
Yeah, and you talk about families. I mean, you've got days like Winning Wednesday. If we win, you get to round the bases.
Yep.
On Sunday Family Fun Day, that's a mouthful. Kids get to round the bases, right, regardless of the result. And if you're a Booster Kids Club, you get to skip the line. So, there's a lot of cool things for families to do. We've got new inflatables over here. You've got the wiffle ball field. I mean, it's endless. So whether you're a night on the towner and you like to go have a frozen beverage out in the bandbox, or you're a family of 4 or 3 or 2, whatever, that wants to come hang out, it's got everything.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Chris. It gets started today. They're taking on Charlotte. 6:35 tonight is the first pitch. Fireworks after the game tonight as well. And like you said, going to be fireworks every Friday night, which I know is a popular thing. Jonesy, we're looking forward to it, my man. Thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure. Thank y'all.
That is going to do it for us today here on the program. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. We'll be back tomorrow on the program at 6 a.m. Paul Kuharski will be with us. He has been out at the owners' meetings in Arizona. We'll get the latest scuttlebutt from Kuharski there. Rexrode going to be live in Indianapolis in preparation from the Final Four. So we'll have it all covered for you tomorrow. And the Preds with a huge one coming up on Thursday against the LA Kings. 1 point up on them in the playoff standings. We'll get into all of that and more tomorrow. Have fun out at the ballpark tonight. We'll be here all day long on 102.5 The Game. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next.